All right, guys, you're going to enjoy this conversation that I had with Kayla and Ben, franchisees for JETSET Pilates. So if you're not familiar, Pilates is the shit right now. It is having its moment, and that sector of the fitness industry is growing incredibly. A franchise organization, JETSET, has found two incredible franchisees for the Charlotte market in Kayla and Ben. Kayla and Ben opened their first studio up in the Lake Norman market here in Charlotte, which is about 25 minutes outside the city in a great affluent neighborhood right on the lake. And then they came into the city in the heart of South End Charlotte, which is a vibrant, high walkability young professionals market for their second studio. And they opened that second studio, I believe, within 12 months of the first one. They've had incredible success and great pre-sales at both. And now they're looking to capitalize on other locations in Charlotte and also other markets in other states. I was fortunate enough to get paired up with them through a mutual friend, and I sat down in their brand new studio to talk shop with them as to what it's been like to become a multi-unit franchisee in under a year. Enjoy the conversation. So we're sitting here in your South End location. What number of your locations is this?
This is our second.
Second. Okay. First is
Lake Norman.
Lake Norman.
In Birkdale area.
We were talking about this with JETSET, obviously Pilates being very in vogue right now, very popular. Lake Norman is for anyone not familiar, obviously it's the lake. It's established homes, it's residences, it's whatever. And then we're here in South End where you have this plethora of apartment complexes, young professionals running amok, breweries, partying on the weekend, that kind of thing. We got the Lake Norman situation, and then this polar opposites. Is that just hedging bets, or was that just availability territory-wise? Why these two markets?
Well, Lake Norman is the flagship. I grew up there. I've lived there my entire life. That's where the whole concept, at least for us, started, there was a gap in the market. So we hopped into Lake Norman, but before we even got open, we were window shopping, and we weren't even serious about looking into South End. Yeah, we knew it was always in the long-term plan, but we saw this location and we moved very aggressive very quickly.
Yeah. And it's funny because when we first signed on for just even the Lake Norman location, we only signed for one studio.
Okay.
We were like, I think we kind of went into it. It's just funny, like full circle, because we were driving by Birkdale and I was just complaining that I had to drive to Charlotte to do any sort of reformer Pilates. And Ben, I was truly just complaining and bitching. And he was like, wait, there's nothing? Like, what you want to do around
like, listen,
here?
honey, I will open up a location so you stop complaining so you don't have to drive anymore.
No, he
it wasn't
just started
even
asking.
that.
No, he was asking questions.
My ignorance 100% thought that there was something like this in Lake Norman. I always just assumed that from the way she talked.
I think that's a fair assumption, naively, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, truly, like modern, like reformer Pilates is now just becoming more accessible to people.
Yeah.
So there was something like it. So he was like, well, we should look into that. And that's how we got in touch with, JETSET. I have some personal contacts that started the franchising there. So that's how the whole thing started. But we were like, we're going to do one. And now flash forward, not even.
Well, it's so funny because I knew she had a background in reform Pilates, right? She talked about it enough. We were best friends well before we even started dating. But once we started getting on these calls, every single person either knew her or knew who she was. I remember looking at her on one of the calls and like, who are you? Right? There's this whole, like, people were excited that she was getting back into the space. I'm like, well, I knew I always had a good partner, but I didn't realize it until then, like how high of a partner.
Well, let's take it to that then. Let's go and talk the polite, like, who are you? How are you so special and well known that JETSET Corporate, when talking to you guys about franchising and they know you?
Yeah. So now I think her title is CFO of JETSET, but they've had a lot of changes with corporates. I'm not sure exactly her exact title, but she was one of the first ones to start the franchising within JETSET, because JETSET's been down in Miami for 15 plus years.
2010 it started, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's been there. It's a concept, but they just started franchising about 3 years ago. So it's new to the franchise world. It's just starting to blow up. We're now kind of considered legacy franchise owners because we were one of their first out of, our first conference, there were like 50 people there. And this past year, it was like 300 something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I used to work actually for one of the original solid core studios up in DC. So they had 13 locations at the time. I ended up managing 2 of them. And now a lot of that team that helped really kind of start that growth with solid core at that time is now with JETSET. And I managed 2 of their 13 studios. By the time I left, they had over 100. So I saw a lot of that growth, a lot of that change. Was very involved in, even like the training and the development, just because of my friends, and then also being there for so long. So a lot of the people that are now kind of leading the teams at JETSET, I've known for 10 plus years and worked with in the past. So it created that kind of.
I mean, some of the people that are on the executive team, she used to be their manager.
Yeah.
Right. And then the stories start coming out about how she used to be one of the very select few who trained Michelle Obama.
Got it.
Right. Like the Secret Service would come in, secure the building, and
You're
she
responsible
was
for the Obama arms. Yeah, that's you. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was a cool time,
Yeah.
you know, like very different. It was small boutique, but I learned so much. And it's funny, even thinking back, I remember, I think it was about a year before we even looked into or even talked about this and made it a thing. I remember like reflecting and trying to be like, what the hell did managing Pilates studios, like, why is that piecing together? Because we were in real estate and land development and so much had happened. I was like, where does that piece come in? Like, what does that help?
It's really interesting though, because the fitness industry is incredibly incestual in a way that, like, if you're in the industry long enough, you'll end up working with someone that you worked with somewhere else, or you'll do the CTO or the whatever at that company, he's a boss, and then eventually some way they trickle maybe their way into your company that you're with. And it's like, that part I think is always interesting. So from Solid Core, and obviously that company has grown. Anytime a company like that has massive growth, talent trickles out and gets recruited by upcomers and things like that. Have you experienced that where you're now back working within this ecosystem of JETSET, people that you partnered with really well at Solid Core? Have you seen some of that talent, you know, whether it's JETSET or other groups dispersed, and you're like, oh, yeah, she was the blah, blah, blah at Solid Core. She'd be fucking great for JETSET.
Well, since I worked up in DC, they're different market, right?
Sure.
So if it was here, I think there might be a lot more like crossover. But when I moved here, actually in 2021, Solid Core's first location came to South End, right? It was the same year. So what I have seen over the past 4 years, we now have some instructors that I used to see, you know, when they first opened that are now working with us. So there is that type of crossover, the talent within that space. You know, it's a modality that most people want to instruct or be a part of. And I think it's just like, oh, I want to be a Pilates instructor. And I think it's like this really glamorous thing. This is the hardest thing ever to instruct. Like, this is not something you come in and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be an instructor. Like, it's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of technicalities. You're constantly hands-on all 50 minutes. And this is a contraption that most people have no clue what they're doing. So, I mean, really, I guess in crossover, I haven't really seen too much more so just with our instructors, but because we and myself haven't been necessarily like high level up in this area in the past, right? Now we are definitely forming, like him and I are huge on community partnerships. You know, we do think that rising tides floats all boats. So we love partnering and connecting with different business owners and, you know, different talent in ways that we can collaborate, but also be helpful for each other.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of different crossovers or introductions with just different owners or different spaces. And like somehow we usually have some sort of mutual connection in the past. But yeah, I think it's a little bit different just because I haven't been in that space or that space.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing is we're new enough where there hasn't been enough time that is expanded for that to happen. Now in the future, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
But at the corporate level, like I always knew that, like you said, fitness is at an almost incestual business where you're jumping from one to the other. With the amount of growth that JETSET's had and the amount of new people that they are onboarding to help that growth and support it, you know, when they do these introductions, you hear their backgrounds, right? So there are a lot of people who have a ton of experience with other brands or several other brands that are now at the JETSET corporate level.
Or even ones that are like have been previous franchise owners, have sold them, and then, you know, they're working there. So there's a lot of experienced people that are now with JETSET. I mean, we haven't even tapped into knowing they're growing daily just because of the amount of locations that they've now signed.
We used to know every person by name. Now half of the team, I couldn't tell you who they were if they were sitting next to me.
Yeah.
Right.
You hear that though a lot, like for, you know, if you come from a market, let's say DC, where that's where you got your feet wet in Pilates, and then you move down here. I see this with the other groups we work with. It's, you know, they're like, hey, we get big enough for the second location. I know the GM at the studio up there. She's great. She kills it, but she's been wanting to move down here because her mom lives down here. It's like, I'm going to recruit her as soon as I can. Right.
Yeah.
And even like for franchises, like you guys, you know, you will have a franchisee and you might know the franchisee of Cleveland, Ohio, and he's got a banging GM that just is leaving for Charlotte because her husband got a job at Bank of America. And right now you get that phone call and like, hey, can you do a transfer? Is there a lot of, because a lot of people, independent gyms, they don't understand it as much. The corporate, like Solid Core is 100% corporate. So moving people around is a lot more common. Within the franchise system, these are all separate little islands or territories. Do you guys have a lot of, at least at this level, and I know JETSET's still early in their franchise growth, even though they've got triple digit units now, right? Over 200?
Well, so there's, 50 to 60 open. But over 300 in development. Right. And that number could be much higher at this point. I just don't have the actual data today.
Do you, as you start seeing that, I think you'll start seeing, especially these franchise conferences, we're assuming owners, GMs go, maybe top tier trainers, and that talent pool just becomes bigger, and you can start recruiting from within house of other people who maybe want to move to Charlotte.
Well, I mean, I guess part of that's already happened with us. One of our original trainers from the first group at Lake Norman is now working for corporate, right? She still works with us, but she has, her life is interesting. So her husband works for a nationwide or possibly worldwide company, and every 2 years he moves around the country, right? So I got to imagine she would be the first of us to start hopping around. But we did everything we could to get her in front of corporate because we did believe in her. And she's done an incredible job so far, so we're super happy for her. But I think it's just a time equation. We haven't seen a ton of it yet, but I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. I mean, even just as more locations open, even just in the North Carolina region, people moving, people's lives change, whether it's their own family situations, husbands, wives, whatever. And I mean, I think it's a positive thing. Ultimately, like, we don't want to lose like our great people. We spend a lot of time and energy investing, and we have very high standards. Anybody that works for us or knows us knows that's how we operate. But we love to have fun. We want this to be a place that you not only like deeply care about, but like you want to be here on a consistent basis. There is a job. There's not everything you're going to love about it, but overall, like 98% of it should be pretty positive, right? So we really take the extra time to invest in our people and like build them up and give them skills that they can even take outside of this studio. So while I think it's going to be a pro, I still am like, well, don't move, stay with us, but even they could be advantageous for us.
We talk about the recruitment or the retention and membership all the time. And that's great. Here, my thing is always, oh, she canceled? Oh, don't worry, there's 2,000 others of her within half a mile of here. However, a really good, responsible instructor who has never been late for that 5 a.m. class that you trust locking up and all that, that is less frequent. So it's like, yes, you got to have retention and membership. That's a duh. But it's like the retention of quality employees is far more, in my opinion, a metric that's more impressive, an indicator of whether that studio will be successful.
Yeah. I mean, our Lake Norman studio, we haven't lost a single person.
Oh, awesome.
If they're gone, it's because they've been fired. And everyone else, our entire founding, it's only a few. Our entire founding team is still with us and loves it. It's great. So, I mean, and even here, I mean, we've had 2 that had a change of plans. But other than that, like, I think we've done a really good job with kind of cultivating that team-based environment, always trying to get better.
Well, that's the thing. So I believe the 2 are correlated, right? So your retention of your staff and retention of your members is the same. If you can create that environment and super positive, outgoing, just somewhere where they want to come to work every day, will reflect into the customer, right? And if they're having fun, they love where they are, then the customer is going to feel that energy coming in, and your retention will stay higher. Because if you have a negative back end, right, you're going to lose customers, right? You can blame it on anything you want, but if it's negative, it's going to bleed down, which is going to lower your
Well, and then just the talent level, over time, instructors get better. They have more repetition. They also form those connections, those relationships. People create their entire schedules around seeing specific people. So yeah, I mean, if they're there longer, people are going to form those connections, relationships, and also they're just going to become better instructors.
How do you feel about that? Or how do you think about that in the industry, right? There's always this fear. And I think like SoulCycle really popularized really creating the thespian or the entertainer of the instructor, and that entertainer having their own pizzazz, and then people like fighting tooth and nail to get into that class. However, you lose that instructor, you're going to generally, because people now have identified, it's no longer their association with the brand, but it's with that individual. That's who they came to see. And if the talent goes out the door, they might follow them to that next studio. I always tell everyone, there's for very, very few instances, is there ever a gym or a studio or a fitness concept that wasn't bred out of an employee from a previous fitness or gym or studio concept? We're just constantly creating our own offshoot of competition, or I like to think of it as colleagues. How do you think about that in terms of, I mean, there's even thought like strategic placement of schedule. Do we keep Sally as the 5 a.m. instructor all the time? So now the 5 a.m. is just synonymous with Sally. And then what if she leaves? Do they follow her? Or do we pop people in and out frequently, so they're just constantly getting a rotation and they're never one just becoming completely devout to just that one instructor?
Yeah. I mean, scheduling is like a matrix in itself. You know, we always talk about it. Like, I mean, AI is great. I just still don't even think it can get that perfect. Like, it really is like an entire between making everyone happy with their schedules, but also being strategic about that, right? Everyone has their different styles, different clients, like different, instructors, also based off kind of the time frame. Usually your 5 and 6 a.m.ers are heavy hitters. They just want to come in, get the work done. And then as you kind of go through the day, there's just a different dynamic and vibe. So we take all that into account, including our instructors' actual availability when we go to these scheduling. And I think that's also like one thing that Ben and I have done since we started, and he's been the pro of this, and I'm glad he was really hard on this, is we overhire all the time. We're always overhiring because we don't want to just rely on this one core group of people. And we do want diversity. We also, like, when we're marketing, if you follow us, like, you see it's not just one person. If you're seeing it's a lot of me or Ben, because we're the names behind the brand. We're the ones that are cultivating community. But even in studio, you see their faces. It's not just the instructor, it's your front desk person. So there's a lot more handoff than necessarily being like, oh my God, I'm just obsessed with you. Yeah. And there's also, I think, and this is a lot more nitty gritty getting into like the JETSET brand, but the reason I think it is successful, it's not meant for you to just get attached to an instructor. Like, you should love the workout, the music, the vibes, like all the little details that go into the class is a performance, but it's not just highlighting the instructor. It's a full accumulated together to where I've never been to a JETSET class and been like, oh my God, I have to come back only to this instructor. Sure. Of course, we all like favor certain people, but I'm like, okay, well, I can go here, and I think that is a huge testament to the brand itself and like the quality it offers. And it's just up to us to bring the right talent too.
Going back to the hiring, like we said, we do overhire, but the thing is hiring the right people, right? So other studios that do have 3 or 4 rock star instructors, one leaves, they're now taking people with them. Our philosophy, we want a true depth of talent all the way down the roster. So if they need to get moved around, right? If their 9 to 5 job changes, if they have a child, if personal issues come up, whatever it is, if we need to move around the schedule, right? It doesn't matter who's filling that spot. It is consistent and excellent every time they walk in the door.
How do you think about hiring? So one of the things I always tell people is always be recruiting even when you're not hiring.
100%.
You don't want to be that studio that only throws up the LinkedIn and Indeed post, because then everyone says like, oh, someone's getting fucking fired, right? If you're only when you need it, and you just let everyone know, none of your jobs are in jeopardy. We're just constantly recruiting.
Have to.
Yeah. So when you say you overhire, what is like, this is a good stabilized studio, and then we get 2 more, 4 more, like what does that look like as far as your buffer?
Well, I mean, we have, anywhere from 85 to 98 classes on our schedules, depending on the week and things like that, per week at each location, right? So that's a depth of a roster needed, right? I think we have 17 instructors at both studios right now. And I mean, like, that's comfortable. We're hiring right now for South End just because of availability and fill-ins and things like that. So I mean, it really is kind of hard to play, but I mean, we are constantly always hiring. There's like a formula to it, but at the same time, it's like, it's tough. Like, that's why we do just always hire.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like an exact metric, whether it's 20% or every 5 people you have 1x, whatever it is, right? The biggest thing is having a pulse on your staff, right? So the more that you are in touch with them, right? Just how is their day? How is your other job going? What's your, is everything going well with your boyfriend, your fiance, whatever, right? You'll have indicators of what's happening. And if there's a pulse and you kind of see a shift, right? Possibly someone's job, they're possibly making a switch, or,
they're a flight risk.
Well, it's not even a flight risk. Maybe they just need to go from this block up to this block, and then this person needs to get moved over here, right? But then sometimes because of those shifts, there will be a gap, right? So like having a pulse and really being intentional and knowing your staff on a personal level without getting too deep, right? Like I don't want to know all the gritty details, right? But like having that pulse consistently is going to be able for you to anticipate what's coming.
Well, and these are the conversations we train our managers to have, right? Like we're always here, we're always open doors, we're a phone call away, we're a text away for anybody. everyone knows that, they all have our personal phone numbers. We're not the ones on the day-to-day keeping that pulse check between the studios that we have and then are growing. So, but it's something, I mean, couldn't speak more to that is so important, whether you're the one in the studio or you have somebody actually managing it, is just having those like easy heart-to-heart one-on conversations, because even if you're not necessarily asking, sometimes they'll just tell you. And you're like, oh, okay, we need to look at this.
Asking's good. Like, you know, if you had a manager call you and say, hey, Sally quit, you know, I had no idea this was coming. You're like, actually just saw her in the studio 2 weeks ago. She told me her husband was applying for jobs in DC. How the fuck did you not know that?
Correct.
Right? Like little things like that, right? Like, or if you know so-and-so is applying for grad school programs and it's for marine biology and that ain't happening here in Charlotte, right? Like, you know, something like that, like having some pulse on it and just little checks is good. And but again, that's why if you guys always have a nice deep bench, you're going to always be able to call in. And also when you have a deep bench, you know, for anyone who underhires, sometimes the staff can kind of feel like I've got the owner like by the short and curlies, like, because they don't have anybody else. If you overstaff a little bit and you just have a deep bench, it's like, I don't know if you noticed, there's plenty of fuckers who want to shift here, right? Like I got a whole team that's ready to go. So no one ever feels like they've got a got you on the owner.
1,000%. I mean, ever since we've opened the studios, there's never been that vibe or feeling. Honestly, if anything, people are like, if I fuck up, they're going to fire me.
Exactly.
Like, there's not, I mean, don't get me wrong.
I wouldn't go that far.
No,
right?
but I mean,
we've been very blessed to hire some incredible young men and women.
Yeah. But we've also had some people that it wasn't working and we did not hang on to them long. Like, I mean, it's, you know, his number one motto, and I've definitely adopted it now, is fire quick. Yeah. And, you know, and we do that because otherwise we're just wasting our time. And also it's, aside from it wasting our time in the business and it's a business decision, it's also disrespectful to everyone else because they're doing their jobs, they're showing up. And then you have somebody that's completely underperforming, not meeting expectations. And what are we going to do? Hold your hand? Like, no, we're all adults here. This is a job. So, you know, we really do hold everyone to that level. And like Ben said, fortunately, like we have hired amazing people. I mean, we can't speak more highly of both of our teams. We love them. And you can tell that they love this place too, which you can't, as an owner, you can't ask for too much more.
It's by far the most rewarding part. We were actually just at an event the other day because we came from an extremely toxic corporate environment, right? So like even before we opened the first studio, like our mindset was not only for our customers, you know, this is being the best 50 minutes of their day, but for our staff, like we talked about earlier, wanting to come into the studio. But when we were at an event the other day, one of my manager's parents walked up to me. I had no idea who they are. They're like, "Oh, so you owe me a thank you." And I'm like, "Who is this?" Right? Like, I'm not that type of guy. Like, weird approach. So I was polite, but I was like, "I'm sorry. Do I know who you are?" Right? He introduced himself, said his last name. Well, she's been married, so the last name didn't trigger. Right? So he finally told me who she was or who he was. And he spent the next 5 minutes talking about how much she smiles every day. She can't wait to go to work. She loves this place. She's so invested. And like, I went from here down to here, and now I'm like tearing up like a puppy dog. Right? But like being able to create that environment where someone cannot wait to go to work. They talk about it with their family. They talk about it with their parents. It's through their entire life I think we've done it right. Yeah. Right. Now we just have to continue to keep that standard high so that every person that walks in our door gets that same experience.
And as we continue to grow more locations.
How many of your instructors are part-time versus full-time?
I mean, most of them are part-time. Most of them, I mean, no one's on like a full-time instructing salary type of deal.
Managers?
Managers are. Managers are full-time. We have a manager. Yeah. But our instructors, but we do have some instructors, like a pretty decent handful of them that all they do is instruct. And it's
not solely with us,
not
but
solely.
several different.
We do have a couple that are solely with us. It's a mix, but the majority are more part-time, but it's cool to see some of people that were only part-time now becoming full-time and just instructing and kind of getting into that and like wanting to grow with us. So we have a diverse group.
The fitness industry is interesting with that because when you think of like part-time work, so like the amount of people that work, corporate job and then instruct, coach, train part-time is astronomically higher. Now there's some, I've got friends that have full-time jobs and they still keep hours at Anthropology because they want the discount, or Lululemon, right? Like, and they're 30 something years old and like, whatever, great. But on the fitness front, there is something about if you're a cog in the wheel for corporate and you guys understand what it's like to be that, being an instructor, a coach, a trainer, where you are the subject matter expert, you are publicly speaking, you are looked at and revered as the epitome of like, I want to get good at this thing. I want to be able to move like that person and be able to do that. I mean, to do that 8 hours a month as a part-time instructor, 15 hours a month. I mean, there is no better like yin to the yang of like, you could hate. I mean, I had plenty of part-time trainers who they hated their corporate job. It was a paycheck. It was the insurance. They had a family. They did this. They didn't work in my gym because they needed to.
Right.
They fucking love being the man for like that hour or two a day. And I think there's like, no one's doing that with DoorDash. Right? Like no one's like in a part-time job as a bartender because like I just love being the person.
There's nothing wrong working with DoorDash.
There's nothing wrong with
DoorDash. Salon. Okay, nothing wrong with that.
I'm making the assessment that there is lower fulfulfillment than leading urban full of instructors.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, even for me, the way I got into the fitness industry was I started instructing years ago for solid core, and I actually worked at a job that I was very much so not happy with. And then I started instructing and I was obsessed with it. Like it's an hour of your day that this is the motto that I adopted. And I realized this is possible, which is what we again instill into both of our studios. Everyone that comes on is like, you should be the best hour of that person's day. This space should be the best hour of that person's day. And you realize quickly that you can be being that person, right? I remember it finally got to the point where when I was managing the studios, I would instruct pretty much every morning class and the early morning classes. And then if I would sub the class out, they wouldn't show up. I'm like, okay, you guys are hurting me by not coming to the class, right? Which is kind of going back to that point. There was a lot of reliability there. And I think we've learned that even as we kind of grow. But yeah, no, there is something so rewarding about it. And even now, I love instructing. I don't instruct a ton because obviously we're focusing more on higher level things, growth, development, everything else that has to happen. But every time I do instruct, like you love it. Like there's a different connection to the people, and it's hard to describe unless you are an instructor. But to your point,
sure,
it's the most rewarding, and it makes sense. Like if there are people that don't like their jobs, and we have some of them, and they're like, I just want to quit my job so I can just do this all the time. Like there is something crazy fulfilling about it. But I think it's not only just for that person, but it's what you provide for everyone in the room too.
And I hate it hearing those girls talk, mostly it's the girls, talk about how they just can't wait to get out of their corporate job because we were there.
Yeah.
Right. Like we completely understand, we empathize with them. Some of them have made the jump, but like I get the hesitation, right? Yeah. I mean, like there's just one part of it is, do I give up this guarantee for the maybe, right? And, it's not right for everybody to do depending on your personal situation. But it's one of those things where it's the best thing we've ever done, right? So like, really want to encourage people like, life is so dramatically short, right? And if you're going to do something for 40, 30 years that you just absolutely hate, right? Like what happens when you're 50 or 60 and you retire, you're going to regret not rolling the dice. So like I said, it's not for everybody, but the people that have the means and capability to do it and that drive, I couldn't suggest it more.
One thing that happens we see in the industry when a modality is like hitting their peak and they're in vogue, and I would say Pilates is there. And let's take it back to spin. When spin was the shit, and I'm not talking like Johnny G and like the original spinning concept, but when the actual boutique studios or a SoulCycle took off, it becomes very cutthroat and territorial on talent acquisition. Like, if you're working in my studio, no way in hell am I allowing you to work at that other studio down there. Like, you're going to steal the secret sauce or whatever it may be. And I think it's fair to say that spinning has definitely lost its shine as far as that goes. I can speak to it here in Charlotte. The 4 to 5 spin studios are still around have to share instructors part-time because there's just not the supply and demand of people wanting to work in those studios and so on. With Pilates here, from clients that we worked with, it's a little bit of that first one where it is a little bit more reserved, right? If someone's coming here and they're like, hey, I also coach 10 hours a week at Solid Core, could they apply for a job here? Would that be kosher?
Yeah, we have some that are solid core instructors as well, or started as that. Now they are just with us.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are brands that are starting to crack down a little bit more.
Do you think it's good or bad?
So we know for a fact they are, because we've heard throughout the industry that some are cracking down. I mean, I feel bad. There were 2 instructors for another company. I won't say them specifically, but they're so scared to leave to come to JETSET because the owner is just known for suing their pants off.
Yeah.
Right.
For non-competes and
correct.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking because they don't want to be there. Right. But they signed a document and now they're stuck.
I mean, obviously there's legal things that have to, it's not like you can come here and then like take and share everything we're doing over there. And obviously there's a client aspect to it too. I think there's pros and cons to it. I mean, both him and I are fine with it as long as we have a conversation with the person. We want to make sure, that one, you're keeping our space safe and you're respecting our space, and you'll do the same there. We don't expect you to bring over trade secrets wherever you're at, right? Like if you're here and you're promoting JETSET, right? And I think it also depends.
It depends on the person.
It really does depend on the person. Like we're not
individual trust type of stuff.
Yeah, like we're not just going over to every single reformer student and be like, hey, you want to come instruct for us? Hey, like, I mean, these are individual conversations.
So particular.
We also want to know why. Like, why do you want to come instruct for us? And a lot of the times there's already issues and they're kind of wanting to leave.
They got 1 foot out the door already.
Correct. Like we're not poaching other reformer places unless they're literally like, hey, I don't love the culture here, or this change happened and I don't like this here. So we ask questions. We're really detailed with it. But also there is a really great thing about somebody that has already instructed this modality. JETSET is different than others. And as others all have their own kind of like bells and whistles to them. We have so many exercises, more than any other place I've honestly ever been to. And in terms of reformer spaces. So there is a whole training aspect that goes to it. But yeah, I mean, it's a pro because, they've already had like the foundations. They've already gotten their kinks out. And then if we're able to bring them onto our team, it's just adapting to our space. But also to speak.
Yes and no, because we have had some people come in the door that have taught at other reformer studios that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot.
That's true. Like
right. So it really just depends on, their
it's
personal
too hard
experience.
wired in them at that point.
Well, I won't. No. There was one specific that apparently taught for many, many years, and I thought she was just I thought she had taken class before, never instructed. So to find out that she was an instructor before, that was her highest and best, right? Was
when we did auditions. But I mean,
right.
every place has like kind of their own standard too, right? So I guess it just really does depend. But I mean, again, it is an individual basis kind of thing. But for us, I think the one thing that like we always really harp on is like, while yes, this is a franchise and there are other franchises, there's other corporates, like we also don't feel like anybody can replicate exactly what we're doing. Like we're creating a space, an energy, a place that like is different than just what you get on the reformer, right? This is a place that you care about the people, you care about coming back. You want to be a part of the events. You want to be a part of something bigger, right? People are investing into lifestyles, not just a workout anymore, right? And like what we work to cultivate with that is a lot more than just these 4 walls. It really is us giving a shit about this place and this workout and the people here, not just our team, but our clients. And in order to replicate that, you have to have somebody that's spearheading that feels the same way. And we also know that that's not the case for every single business. Like it's just not,
I think one thing that, especially when you have a big team of part-timers, and if they are also moonlighting and coaching part-time at other studios as well, you get into this, and this is a very granular level that only like studio owners can really understand and respect. It's like, hey, they're also teaching at that other studio. They constantly post on their social media about that other studio. How come they never post about it? And it's like, do I have the right to tell them, why aren't you doing more on your personal social media? Like, and you can kind of get into this thing, and it's how, I mean, have you guys, is that something that, is that a familiar thing? Is that something you've experienced?
We only had it with one person very early on, and it's kind of it's difficult to verbalize, right? She had used certain jet set markers to try and promote her own personal brand, but not brand specific, right?
Yeah.
So that we did have 2 separate conversations with her on top of other issues that were happening. I mean, we ended up parting ways. But like, luckily we haven't had those issues. I mean, everyone loves to come in here and take a selfie and post. Like, it's not to be,
Yeah.
not to be, we've provided an incredible suit.
Very
right?
Instagrammable.
So
Yes.
it's one of those things where we haven't run into that issue. Now, could we? Sure. But to answer, like, do we have the right to? I think it's an individual case by case basis. Like, how aggressive is it? Are you just here to bring people over there? Right? Or is it just for some reason, if you're coaching more there
Sure.
than here, like, is it a time equation? Like,
And it's also compensation. If you're compensated based on the attendance of classes, then it's very much in your own incentive to go ahead and promote the shit out of I'm at this class. Now,
Right.
do you guys compensate based on attendance?
Utilization.
Okay, utilization rate.
Yep.
Okay. What does that look like? You got to hit this is a base number, and then anything above a base number is a bonus?
well,
So-
there's an automatic base.
Yeah, there's an automatic base.
And we do pay well to begin with. But then at certain checkpoints, it raises.
So it's like 25%, 50%,
Got it.
75%, then over 75% is a top tier.
Okay.
So there's different levels. So the base is obviously anything under 25%.
Yep.
And then it jumps from there.
Let's just talk some black and white numbers, Ed. So how large is this studio here in South End?
A little over
As far as the square footage?
Total square footage.
So this one is 2,700, but it's an odd shape.
A little bit.
So we've lost a lot of usable square footage. And then Lake Norman is 2,300 and change.
Okay. And when you guys, and how many reformers do we have?
16 each.
16 in each. Okay. So when you guys are looking at something like this, what does a studio membership capacity, like what is like, we're pretty good there. We could grow a little bit, but like that's probably pretty much a nice, decently plateaued
It's
studio.
the hardest question to answer because it's not based off of one specific number that we hit or we're below or we're above, right? Because the range of packages that we have,
Sure.
whether they're coming 4 times a month, 8 times a month, 12 times a month, they're unlimited.
And
Is
then
that like
we
an AUV number then, like a revenue more based number for you guys to understand, like where do we sit even within the JETSET ecosystem of performance of a studio?
I mean, our utilization is very high.
Okay.
Right. So on that metric, we're doing very well. And I think that goes back to that culture that we've created here. But I don't really want to get into too specific numbers just because there are outliers and pieces
Sure.
that come in and it can get confusing if I put it into a shorter spans. But I mean, we're
Yep.
doing well.
Yeah, and they pull metrics obviously monthly, like all hands meeting. You're showing, not necessarily NOIs, but revenue per studio and tiers and things like that. Both of our studios perform extremely well. This is obviously still considered more of a ramping studio. We haven't even been open
Sure.
6 full months yet. Lake Norman, we're about to celebrate our 1 year there, so I would say it's stabilized and just the momentum's still super strong there. But yeah, I mean, we're always kind of, obviously retention's a key one that we're always monitoring. Utilization in the summer is always kind of takes a dip here and there.
Yeah.
We're always kind of monitoring that, but we have kind of specific numbers per studio that it's like, okay, we're here, like we feel good. But in terms of a cap, I don't there's a lot of opportunity, especially 16 reformers for a studio is good. It gives us a lot of ability to fill classes.
I guess maybe was one where like we look at the studio and we're like, it could peak a little bit. That's probably as good as we're going to get. That one's stable. Now, if I were to drop us from out, because you know what a bad studio is. You know what numbers you looked at you would not be happy with.
Right.
So it's like especially when it opens up, it's like understanding that also within a year, this studio might sit here in, let's say March, in the spring. And then like you said, Charlotte, seasonal, summertime, we might dip down and we might pick back up in the winter. I guess it's more just that you guys have those kind of like top end, bottom end, ceiling, basement as to like where we want to stay within. And if we hit this, that's a red flag. Like everyone on my team knows that that's a problem. There's numbers that are not acceptable.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, we definitely have that. Now we have blueprint calls pretty much weekly. Lake Norman, since it's obviously older. It's more
Sure.
just kind of like monthly check-ins, and we have resources and stuff. But with this being a newer studio, we're having, weekly
More frequent.
calls and really kind of dialing in like, hey, what's working, and like seasonality. March for some reason is a huge month in fitness, right? So you see a big spike. Even here was a big spike. Same with Lake Norman, and then everything kind of like levels out. But I mean, we're nowhere near our like, oh fuck, but there's always room for growth. And we kind of see different things like, inter-offer conversion wasn't as high this month. Like this is getting a little like, this needs to get here. We're always monitoring that. One new metric is kind of the sticky rate conversion, like who's actually buying a membership or a package versus just like one extra class, right? That's kind of a new cool metric that I think is going to really help us too, of like, how many people are coming back and like on a consistent basis. So we're looking at more kind of stuff like that. Because I mean, realistically, like, yes, we're like, yay, we know these numbers, we know how to hit those. But making sure we're not getting, we're not
But the other thing is part of the going back to overhiring, right? Is that if we ever need to add classes because we're too full or we're short in some to pull, very rarely do we have to pull them, but sometimes it does happen. Having that depth in the schedule and capability to do so allows our customers to get into classes no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, January through March was like that. It was like, we need classes everywhere we can have them. And I mean, it's traditional in summer. Fitness is like up and down, up and down. There's definitely consistency.
Sure.
But some weeks you're like, okay, everyone decided they wanted to work out. And then the next week you're like, wow, everyone, like they're just like
November through December, people traveling, the holidays.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, August, end of August, September, October, those months are crazy. It's like another like almost like New Year's hit in its own way.
Going back to the numbers, how close, I get this question a lot, how close do you keep the managers to the numbers of the business outside of what maybe like is on a MindBody dashboard or, Mariana Tech or whatever it may be? Like, do you managers get into P&L so they understand the business aspect of the numbers, or just studio specific numbers?
Studio specific. Right. I manage everything else on the back end.
Yeah. I mean, I think because we'll definitely hire a director level who we're already kind of seeing somebody that would move into that. I think bringing her more into a little bit more detail so she understands high level, so she can speak more to it when she's managing more of the managers would be a point. But we also, being again newer, we're careful to like the amount of information we expose, because it's like, one, we want you to be with us long enough to where we trust you, but it's like, we give you this information. This is everything, right? Are you going to tell somebody? Is there going to be, you know what I mean? Like we're a little bit more guarded with that type of stuff. Just because we need to make sure that one, the things are the right fit, which we feel like we've done a good job, but there's still like a dynamic to that where not everyone always sees the full picture. And then even with a P&L, it's a pretty deep picture, but there's still things that are
it's not a balance sheet.
subjective.
They see what's coming in. They have no idea what's going on.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. And that's the one thing where I think some people look at the numbers and they're like, well, it must be this giant cash cow. And it's like, well, if
Did you guys take your helicopter here today?
If you guys saw the checks that I'm stroking on a weekly basis, sometimes it hurts every time I press pay.
Yeah, they're like, when are you getting your jet? And I'm like, what do you mean? Do you know how much it costs to build one of these things? Like, we're like, are you fucking serious?
But that's the pros and cons. I always went I always had like the P&L level was like, it was up there. This is what I paid myself. This is what I paid the GM. This is what I paid the assistant GM. This is what we spent in marketing. And when it filters out, I mean, no one is a millionaire on a studio, all right, or a 2 studio. So it's like, I always felt like, fuck it. I'd much rather these guys know all of it and know the pain. And I remember the moment of validation for that was I hired a guy. He was our assistant GM for like 5 years. And I asked him at the interview, what is it you want to do? He's like, I want to open up my own gym. I'm like, I fucking love that. Because if that's true, then you're going to work your ass off. And I swear, if you work for me for 3 years, you'll be in the best position to do it. And I'll do everything I can to help you. And I remember after performance review number, 3, and we talk about it, is that still a goal? He goes, oh, fuck no. Not a chance, dude. I'd much rather sit here. I'd rather make the money. I do not want to do what you do. He's like, I thought I did. He's like, after, 2 months of numbers meetings, like, I absolutely not.
I know.
But you pull the curtain back and everyone, it always looks green, but it's like the bottom part of that P&L is fucking vast and variable.
Well, and now the highlight reels on Instagram make everything much worse. It's like, everyone's an entrepreneur. Everyone does this. And it's like, you don't see all the things.
Yeah.
And it's also now we're just getting more into, we recently hired a marketing agency that's helping us create a lot more content because we're too fucking busy to do it.
Yeah.
And then when I have time to do it, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm like,
You have someone here locally in Charlotte? Nice.
Yeah,
Who are you guys using?
So Sam Vargas and then 79th Parallel.
Okay.
They've been amazing. We love them.
Great.
He did some like just videos for us and his work's incredible.
Awesome.
And we knew that we needed to start kind of outsourcing just because the consistency wasn't there. And that's a huge piece down here.
Yeah.
So there will be more of like behind the scenes, more like raw, authentic things that we're excited to kind of share. But yeah, you're just too busy. It's like, I don't want to do this. So the people that like are actually doing it, they're like, you don't see all the real things.
Sam's just not some guy who happens to do marketing and film. Like, we're very blessed to have his talent, his knowledge on our team now. So like she was saying, the things that are about to come out, but like I kind of want to plug him 79 Parallel. But like it's one of those things where like working with him in the 2 months now that it's been. I mean, we really just started getting into it about a month ago.
So you do paid ads and content?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, great. Okay.
I mean, he's absolutely incredible.
Which are two unique skill sets in and of themselves.
I don't know how he does it on a daily basis, but I mean, what he produces is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cause there's a digital marketing firm that's like through JETSET that we use for all the ads and stuff. But I mean, now we're creating, additional content that we can use and funnel into those ads that are more specific to our locations. As soon as we opened Lake Norman, I was like, well, their branding assets are great. Every other JETSET studio is using them, and I'm burnt out on them. I'm like, and I also want it to feel like when you're seeing an ad, or if you're seeing something about JETSET, it's us. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's the studio, that's the owner, that's the instructor. Yeah, like it should feel real. Like I think that's the biggest thing now with marketing is making sure it's not just like so dolled up that people are like, okay, what are they trying to sell me? It's like, no, like this is. Like, come to the studio. Like, it's going to be fun. Like, we have a good time here, So I'm excited about the content because it is so high quality, but it's more like raw and just like, oh, wait, I want to meet her. Or I want to know that instructor. I want to do this. So we're excited kind of about that growth. Excited. Yeah. I mean, it's just starting to kind of kick off.
The pricing, the pricing menu is generally pretty vast. You got options, you've got recurring membership options, then you have the PIF options, the packs and the this and the one-off. Do you find like how many different options do we have from a pricing model currently right now? It's a lot.
Memberships, packages,
9 total.
What are the pros and cons? Because there were some that there's a beauty, like, even I go back to like Mad was one of my great example. They had an unlimited, right? Like boom, we're just doing this one thing, right? And a lot of people now go with frequency-based pricing, but then it's like, okay, now I have frequency-based 8, 12, whatever. And now I have 5-pack PIF, 10-pack, blah, 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 blah. It can become extensive paralysis by analysis at the point of sale.
Right.
How do you guys think about that as far as don't let this monster get too big?
So it's one of those things, I mean, you have to know the client, right? And just asking basic questions to figure out what's going to fit them best. I mean, there really is something for everyone, whether it's on the package side, and then you have months to use it, whether you're super heavy 1 month and then maybe you're traveling the next, to consistent packages, right? And the biggest thing for us is we do not want you to spend money you're not going to use, right? It's the last thing that I want. So, the unlimited is not for everyone, right? You could have another gym membership. You could be traveling half the week, right? There's a lot of times that 4 or 8-pack is the perfect one for you. And that's perfectly okay. The last thing I'd ever want is someone at my front desk hammering you to buy the most expensive package. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes when we hire a new person, they're excited about it. They think it's the best thing for everybody, but you just have to backtrack with them. And look, talk to them, right? Find out what works for them.
Yeah.
And then figure out the package that works for them.
Yeah. I mean, because Ben and I came from a pretty extensive sales background, and we realized the conversations that, our front desk are having with people are really important. But it's just asking the genuine questions, like how many times a week are you going to come? Is this something that you'd want to work into your routine? Like, what are your goals? Like, really just getting to know them a little bit. And then being like, well, I think the 8 times a month would be a really great start. What do you think? And then if they're like, I don't know, like I might want to come more. Well, we have a 12 times a month option. How does that sound? Or like vice versa, right? So it's directing them with the knowledge like that they already have themselves. They just don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And I've been to many gyms where I come in and, the person at the front desk is literally starting to ramble off every single package.
Yeah.
And I'm done in 5 seconds, right? That's anybody. That's a normal consumer. Sure. Obviously, I'm also like, we have a sales mindset. So I'm like, girl, you're really sweet, but no, you know, that is the last thing that, you know, we have a structure. We work really hard with our teams at the front to make sure that one, you're not, this should be an organic conversation. Yes, you're selling. Yes, you're processing memberships, but you're just directing people to exactly what they want. And you're telling them what they want, like by asking them the questions. If they're saying, I want to come this many times a week, or I'm not sure, I'm thinking about this or that, like, you're just directing them based off the questions you're asking, right? So while there are a lot of memberships, it's up to our staff to understand what they are and what would be best based off of conversations with the client, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming.
And when you have an EFT and a PIF options, I always ask, what is your ideal ratio of that? So when you think of like the studio at maturity, what percentage do you want a recurring versus PIF? And then what is your kind of actuals, but like at the studio now?
So with our experience, the Lake Norman versus the South End, it's two different animals. So it's almost two different answers.
Much more transient down here.
Sure.
I mean, you see more afraid of commitment and more PIF abled.
This one's a huge range in between all of them. Like there's not one heavy or one less. But Lake Norman's more on the higher side, right? Because that is their sole workout.
More unlimited.
So it's more of the unlimited.
So
more 20 packs if they're buying packages.
Right.
They're hitting heavy 20 packs.
They love a 20
Anytime we do a package sale, Lake Norman kills it because they're just waiting for the next package sale, and they'll buy like 2 of them. I mean, we limit the amount of time, but I mean, they love a package sale. And because anybody that's not on a membership is buying the bigger packages there, right? Just so they can spread them out. But yeah, it really is like it's
too. I wish I had a great answer for you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with more longitudinal data next year we can revisit this. But it's just so spread out. And
so what would if you got to like play do you get to say, I want the studio to be 80% recurring, 20% PIF, or do you have a number like that you would like? Because like, I just like the recurring draft to be set to here.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we love recurring.
Sure.
You know, I mean, naturally you're like, okay, if we can keep it at this level, which, you know, we've done really well with pre-sales. Like, it's just our marketing, our sales background. Like we were able to really create great strategies for both studios. So we were able to get them off to a strong start with recurring founding memberships, right? And so at that point, it's like, all right, cool. We know with this many, it's going to kick off the studio. And from there, but regardless, like recurring, it's in every single month. Yes, you're going to drop some, but if you're keeping your retention rate at a manageable rate, like you're in a good spot because you know that money's coming in, right? So I mean, of course, I think any of us would prefer recurring, but at the same time, when we do a package sale, we look at our sales that week and we're like, well, shit, okay.
You know, the typical studio thing, March is like, man, they're running some really good PIF specials in March. Like, yeah, no shit, April 15th and taxes are due coming around, right? So like, I mean, there's also strategic timing of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pre-sale of this. So you guys went through pre-sale here. You obviously did a pre-sale at Lake Norman. Extreme differences in the two markets as far as pre-sale goes, or in the strategies?
Strategies. So, I mean, Kayla and I come from, I know we've talked about this, but a crazy sales background. Like we know sales better than 95% of the population.
We sold
you guys sold
dirt.
You guys sold dirt, raw land to guys in cowboy boots who were going to put $1 million developens on them and things.
Correct. And in like long periods of marketing and sales campaigns, things along that nature. So when we did Lake Norman, you know, I did a lot of the background sales. Now that Kayla didn't, right? She was just concentrated on other things. And I thought I had a system, right? And then once we switched over here, I had to pivot quickly, right? And just rework how we were engaging with the customers, the times we were engaging with them, what were the series of questions that we were asking. So it was totally different. I mean, we figured it out very quickly. But the thing is, you just as a business owner or a gym owner, you cannot get married to one idea. And when it's not working, all of a sudden be like, well, you know, make all the excuses on the planet, right? I mean, the Navy SEALs have a motto, like make a plan to change, right? And if you're not able or willing to pivot in the moment and restructure, refigure out whatever the issue is, you're going to die. I mean, there's just no other way around it, right? Like, yes, you had that plan. You might have spent months on this plan, but if it's not working, you got to switch it up.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't like, not any idea is a bad idea. I mean, the amount of things that like, you know, that we took from Lake Norman that we learned and then brought it down here and like wasn't working or didn't fit. And they're like, well, let's try this. And they're like, that's really stupid. Let's not do that. And then we think of something else that would like lead to that. And they're like, wait, this is great. And then it would pop off, right?
So give me an example of a pre-sale strategy that worked well for you.
One, I mean, the creating of like urgency is really key, right? It's like creating the FOMO, making sure you're bought in. Like one thing, there is tiers of levels of pricing that like
so like the
you
first
hit.
50 are this price, and when they're gone, and
Correct.
it goes up. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so anytime there would be, a sellout of that, we'd be like, all right, we're getting close. We'd say like, 10 memberships left. We'd really kind of push that. And that would be usually a pretty big hit. People would buy them instantly, and then you'd go to the next tier. But one thing that we did really well before the pre-sale drop, like we really built up that date of like, this is the first day you can buy a membership. Mark your calendars. If you don't, you're missing out. We did a lot of community activations. We did a lot of partner perks. So any of our founding members got these specific perks. So really there's just like so much information like shoved into your face, but it was all directed back to being a founding member. And people were like, well, I get all this stuff and I get the best rate ever. And it's a new Pilates studio. It's a new hot thing. Like, of course I have to be a part of it. So it really was just creating the excitement and like that personalization behind it.
But you have to be honest with what's coming. Right? Like where she talked about the 10 left, right? Some people will wait till the last moment. We literally only have 10 left. So now's your chance, right? To get it before we go up to the next tier.
Because then
right?
we would bump it and they're like, well, it was this yesterday. I'm like,
but we told you, right? So it's one of those things like
lying.
That transparency, right? Because the last thing you want to do is put out misinformation up front. And then all of a sudden you've pivoted because you gave them either a lack of information or misinformation. You think they're ever going to walk in your door, right? You're breaking down all the walls of trust up front. So like being open, being communicative, talking to the customer, answering any of their questions is the biggest pre-sale strategy you can do.
Yeah.
How do you sell the experience of something like Pilates in a pre-sale format? Because what percentage would you say of founding members were Pilates experienced?
Like Norman, like nobody.
So
I'm getting that.
So it's like
so
like bringing this to the outside and putting a tent up and like this is what it is.
No,
like
I mean
a lot of long conversations.
Yeah, like really asking again detailed questions about like, what is your background? What are you currently doing? Why are you interested?
And
like understanding more.
Educating them at each checkpoint, right? So if
how do you do that with this if they're not on it? Because I mean, I remember I had seen them, I had touched them, I had seen videos on them being made until I actually went on one. It was there's still an insane education gap that no matter how good at sales you are, I mean, unless the media assets are fucking insane, it's showing me like, this is like, TV set up and you get a little stand outside and you're showing everyone, that's what the workout looks. That's exercise A and this is exercise B, and see how much she's sweating, but how tight her body is. See, like, that's going to be you. Like, how do you do that with that unique of a machine?
Honestly, it's time. So literally, I mean, the conversations I had, because I had about 95% of them, were long, drawn out conversations before we got to pre-sales, right? And like, it was constant. Every question that they had, I had a response ready to go depending on what specific it was. Don't get me wrong, I would change and cater it to each person, but there were blocks of information I know the customer needed to have to be able to be educated enough to make that jump before.
Well, then there's also people that like were like, I just can't commit to it until I try it. And I'm like, okay, no problem. We have 2 weeks of free preview classes, which you can come try it. We'll still have founding membership rates. They are going to be more expensive than it is right now. As long like, but that's, if you must try it before then, please come in. Like, well, and that people would do that, right? If they couldn't get bought into it. But there are also a lot of people that have known enough about reformer Pilates, even if they hadn't tried it themselves, or they've done like a club Pilates, like a very different style, right? They've done something to give them enough confidence and understanding of like, okay, like I want to do it, right? I want to do this. I know it'll change my body. I also know it's low impact. I know I need to take breaks from high impact stuff. Like I'm looking for more core development. So they had enough knowledge about it, not about the machine, not about the exact experience to enjoy that. But then also like,
it's only a 3-month commitment. So it's not like you were purchasing into 12 months where now you're locked in. There was some crazy early termination fee and Like 3 months,
Yeah.
right? You don't know anything about any workout unless you try it for 3 months anyway.
Well, and the thing is we both were very active in the community. So we were meeting these people in person. It wasn't just us behind the screen. Yes, we did a lot of behind the screen messaging, but we were constantly active doing mat events, which are completely different than this. And we make that very transparent, right? Like we try to get them to feel the same sort of like intensity level and like the slow movements and the cueing is similar, but there's nothing like it, right? But it's still created enough of a foundation for them to meet us, meet some instructors we were bringing on, create that connection of where they're like, okay, well, these people are cool. Like we're putting a face to a
personality to a brand.
Building. Correct. And both South End and Lake Norman are very community driven. And realistically, I think now there's a massive shift again, not just in the workout you're going to, but the place you're going to and like what that place makes you feel like, right? And people are looking for community. People aren't going out to bars as much and drinking as much. Like this sometimes is their social hour. And these are also people that whether you guys are going to get drinks on a Friday night or you guys are going to do contrast therapy or whatever you're doing, you have similar interests, right? You guys like the same thing. So I think even just aside from selling them on the workout, selling them on, not necessarily even just us as owners, but the place that we're creating, right? That really, I think, was just more of a cherry on top, aside from essentially trying to educate them on these crazy contraptions. But and social media helps that too. It gives people enough knowledge without oversharing and letting them experience it for themselves too.
But you also have to be available when they're available. This isn't 9 to 5, right? Like I used to take phone calls at 9, 10, 11 p.m., right? If they were available.
CRM blows up at 6 a.m. We're like, oh, guess we're having this conversation.
If they wanted to, but I was more than happy to do it, right? I mean, I don't know what that person's day-to-day life is, right? They could have just got off a 16-hour shift, and this was their one window that I could possibly take the time out of my day, speak to them to possibly put the best hour of their day in their future.
It's so humbling. Like out of the 86,400 seconds in a day, like clients will complain, like especially during pre-sale, oh my God, my phone, I'm getting blown up at 9 p.m. or 6 a.m. I'm like,
great problem.
Dude, who the fuck are you? They took the time to text you. I guarantee you there's some text from their mother they haven't responded to, their best friend they haven't responded to, but they responded to your auto reply in automatic text that was part of the lead form, and they want to know more about your business. Shut the fuck up and take the call.
Dude, could not say amen to that enough.
You got a different set of problems.
Yeah.
You're complaining that there are too many inbound text messages.
We get pumped. We're like, all right, he's up at 11 p.m. and we're like,
right? I mean, I don't, during pre-sales, I don't sleep.
You
right?
do, but it's not.
I mean,
it's just different. Yeah. Because I mean, it is. It's like you have to work on people's schedules. And that was also our life prior when we were booking a lot of appointments for land sales and stuff like that. So that type of like turn on and like turning it on, we're really good at that. And like, it does give us like an adrenaline rush. And because we're like, okay, we love talking to you. And also it's like, you're interested enough to be texting us at 10 p.m. Like you probably had a long day, you're tired or something crazy, in a way it should speak volumes. Like they're also probably some of your most interested people. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes just,
of course,
random drunk texts. We're like, I'm sorry.
I don't know if I got too many of those.
No, but I'm just saying, like, right. You know what I mean.
At 2 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday.
No, but there's always like some off the wall stuff. And we're like, I'm sorry, I think they're texting the wrong person. But at the same time.
Talk to strategy. So it's interesting. I probably saw this starting more popular in like 20, probably is when Orange Theory really popular, like 17, 18, 19, where the pre-sale strategy was the standard kind of sense of urgency, whether it's frequent, like after X amount, the price goes up, or after X day, the price goes up.
Yeah.
But then there was this back end, but we also have this 2-week free thing as well. Now, you obviously don't want to, it's like you've got these two things. Well, most people might go for that, right? Like why spend any money up front if they can just come do this? Well, okay, there's an incentive. It's going to be more expensive. I mean, generally the difference between that pre-sale price is maybe $40, $50 a month. I mean, if you break it down, which adds up. But I mean, if you break it down on a per class, you come in 12 times in a month. It's not an insane number, but that it's also nice to get them to opt into this because you have the lead, someone who's interested, and you have the back end opportunity of selling them. So my question is, because that's like every pre-sale I know now runs with this strategy. What percentage buy before the studio opens, and then what percentage of those founding memberships do it within that 2-week trial?
We double, almost over double.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Got it.
But the thing is, like, again, you can't hide that there's 2 weeks
Correct.
coming, right? You have to
Yep,
be upfront
absolutely.
about that. But like where you said $40-50 a month isn't huge, depends on who you're talking to. Right, $40-50 to some people is massive. So it's my job to do everything I can on the front end to educate you as much as possible. Now, if you still want to wait, that's
Sure.
perfectly okay. But the last thing that I want is for you to have waited and now you're priced out. And it's something that could have been the perfect thing for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So like, I mean, there's some people you can just tell they're not going to do it, but I will still spend the time no matter what, so that if you have the opportunity to lock in a rate at that price for life, I'm going to do the work. And if you come to me later, well, now I have how many different text messages? I explained it to you 10 different ways. We can't go
No
backwards.
guilt on your end.
We can't go backwards in
Sure.
time. Right. Like, I'm sorry that you did have to wait. And I do have empathy for that. If now we are out of your budget, I hate that. Right. Like I've had some hard conversations with people.
Sure.
But like, I at least did everything I could to put as much information in front of you as possible.
Yeah.
And like, luckily we're at a point now where now we have 2 open studios. So if you're in the Charlotte market, they can come.
Yeah.
Check out. I mean, it won't be the exact same layout, but at least you can come to a class.
Yeah.
And the thing with it's interesting, like when we talk about like $50 being a lot of money on a monthly basis, right? And if you talk to, like, I'm sure you've had some young men and women who have a $2,000 apartment in Charlotte and they have a golden doodle and they have a social habit and they're out dating and it's expensive and it's like $50 here, there. Also, when you look at like at the socioeconomic classes of everyone, if someone's like, okay, I can do it because it's the $50 less one, I'll do the pre-sale, and there is fragility with that client's retention because it is a money sensitive thing. And it's, again, getting them the best deal possible. All for it. I think I've always had like this kind of mindset of, if you really like, I don't want you to have to get a second job to do this, number one. I don't want you to have to like really think about, okay, well, I got to cut this out and I'm gonna get rid of my Birchbox subscription. I'm gonna do all this. Like, if it gets to that point, I'll be honest, like, we always had a backup of like cheaper gym options in the area that I'm like, it's not us, but there are other options. Because that person, I always looked at them as just like this shaky bridge. Like, they were eventually going to cancel the second money got a little tight, because this was a reach for this, like someone who buys a house in their house poor and they can't afford to put any shit in it, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But in this market specifically, I think that is, you guys probably experience that tenfold more here, because again, we're talking about young professionals, right? We're not masters of money yet at 27 years old. We're still like kind of figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, our biggest expense is like, are we going to Coachella this year? Like that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, you're also dealing with, it's a much different. And the fact that you're able to bounce from like the more sophisticated conversations up in Lake Norman to like down here with these people.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of sophisticated conversations
Down here
as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the conversations are different, but I think we have the exact. I mean, look, Lake Norman isn't everyone up there. They're not a millionaire.
Sure.
Right. There's young professionals that live there too, or kids that just got out of high, whatever it is. So I think it happens at both. Again, I don't think the studio has been open long enough to maybe see a higher uptick in that.
Yep.
But I think that's anything in any gym you're going to have or fitness location, is that it's just some people just can't afford it.
Yeah, and there also
right?
is
And
just
that's
such,
okay.
there really is like even between affordability, lifestyles, choice of workout, like there's such more diversity down here because there are so many more options, right? Like, people do love to do this. Like, we honestly don't have a lot of like negative feedback. It's more so people are like, I also go to this gym and I want to be able to come here, or, you know, I'm training for a high rocks, so I need to focus on this. So there's just more things going on where that I think we overcome more of that type of stuff and like focus depending on who you're talking to. And then there's the people that are just ride or die, like, I want to do nothing but reformer Pilates my whole life. And we love those girlies, you know?
Yeah.
But then there's, again, like, even like I do this as my primary workout, but I also do other things. Like, I do boxing, I do lifting, I'll go to other drop-in gyms, I go over to Metabolic, you know, so we have a partnership with them even. Like, I do believe that working out and being versatile is important, but I also think that there is a certain stigma that everyone's like, oh, you can't get strong doing Pilates. And I'm like, the strongest I am in my fucking life is doing reformer Pilates.
Yeah.
Mat Pilates on a consistent basis, I could see, right? You are only using your body weight. At some point, you're going to get kind of tapped out with the strength you're going to be able to put on. Like 3-pound ankle weights are great a little bit, but it's not going to add physical strength. But with a machine that has anywhere from 5 up to 65 pounds of resistance, and you're on it for 50 minutes using your body with different tension, like you're telling me that's not going to make you stronger? Like that's what's insane to me. But all that to say, like, this is an amazing primary or cross-training workout. Like, and anybody that comes in, sees it, feels it, touches it, they really do love it. It's just we're dealing with a different vast group of people that almost like want to do more, right? Whereas again, like Norman, everyone like has there's less to do up there, and in general too. Neither one of them is wrong. It's just a matter of like crafting the right messaging to help the client understand like what would make sense for them, right? Because a lot of the times people actually want you to sell them something. Like they want you to tell them like what they actually need, without again having them do the shaky thing like, oh my God, like I don't know if I can afford this. Like find out the information and like give them what they want. But I mean, I really do think that this type of workout like is for anybody that does like to work out.
It's the beauty of the packs. Like having a PIF option, anybody can afford $300 right now. There's no one who's living within a mile of this zip code right here that cannot afford $300. Who's going to walk in your doors that doesn't have it in their checking account?
Correct.
So it's like you can let's just piecemeal this together. And then there's free run clubs that you can do in between and then whatever. And who knows, they get that promotion. Next thing you know, they're upgrading to an unlimited membership or whatever it may be. It just getting them in and making them want to be able to come more often. Now, as we're sitting here and it's been now the rail trail's picking up, I wanted to talk about the site selection of this. So you mentioned like this became available. We loved it. You guys have been in real estate. You pay a premium to be in the hotbed of the highest walkability in downtown Charlotte.
Oh yeah, it's expensive here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys all in? Are you guys north of 55 a square foot? All in? Right around.
Oh, all in?
All in with triple.
Yeah.
net.
Oh yeah, we're north.
Okay. So and we don't have to ask to get the exact numbers, but I get asked this all the time. Is the prime perfect retail location at that price point, is it worth it? And when is it not worth it? When is an alternative off the beaten path type situation for significantly less the better move?
Oh, I think that's such a loaded question. I understand where you're going with it.
Yeah.
For us personally, this was the right decision, right? I mean, we love the area. We love this space, even though it was
funky,
monster, and
it's the weirdest end cap I've ever seen.
Trust me, brother. I mean, I slept right where that camera is. The night before because that's a whole different scenario.
It really was such an interesting process
for us. It just like the foot traffic, the vibe. We live upstairs. I mean, this was perfect for us. But to answer the other side of the question, it really just depends on your clientele and the area that you're in, right? I mean, this is a huge walking area. So to be on the biggest foot traffic path was massive for us, right? If we were 7 blocks the other way, would we still have the same exposure? Maybe, right? We could have put more into marketing, things along that nature. But if you're in an area, let's say that's out into the suburbs or, not dealing with massive transit and traffic problems, being off the beaten path necessarily isn't an issue.
Sure.
Right. So I think it depends on each market and what you're providing to the customer.
And the clientele. I mean, JETSET does have specific real estate standards that we have to abide by, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to go the most bougie of bougie, but you have to have good co-tenancy. There has to be good visibility. There has to be an argument for like, why are you putting an expensive Pilates studio in this space, right? I mean, these studios are not cheap at all to build out, and we definitely don't cheap out on when we build them. We do the biggest center logo sign. I mean, we do the bigger mirrors,
all of the upgrades, all of our studios.
Yeah. So, and I mean, while this one is definitely kind of shaped a little bit weird, it ended up being it was a beautiful studio. Everyone walks in and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is so pretty. So there's a wow factor to it. So I mean, for us, like the premium real estate in both Lake Norman being like right on one of the most heavily trafficked roads in all of Huntersville, direct sight from one of the very busy intersection was huge just because everyone's like, oh, JETSET, seen it, got it, know exactly where it's at. And even here, being able to say like one specific location, like everyone knows exactly where it is, right? Like it's no one's confused on where either one of our locations are. And for being a brand new brand, not only in Charlotte, but in North Carolina, it it was strategic for both of us. Like, you know,
It gave you the extra pump of brand awareness that even the best marketing firm and like they can do whatever. But if you're off the beam path and you're brand new to a market, I mean, there's no better way than VPD or, you know, runners and walkers per day like we have here on the rail trail.
Yeah, it's just consistent exposure, and it's not going to happen immediately. Like, it's definitely over time. And it's funny, even over like when we first put the window graphics up, we're like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna know exactly where it is.
Walk right past it.
Absolutely not.
Is this
no one
a
had
sushi restaurant?
No, literally. And there's people on a reform. No one had any idea. They're like, oh yeah, we're opening JETSET. They're like, oh, where is it at? We're standing right across
there.
the street.
Yep.
And I'm
I mean,
like,
literally right there.
Yeah.
We had a table set
like,
up.
what do you mean?
talking
Like,
to
how is
people.
this so confusing?
Yeah.
And now, like, we can't go anywhere down here without being like, oh, you own JETSET. Oh, you own JETSET, right? And they know exactly what it is. So it's taken, since we put window graphics up about a year ago, for people to be like, I mean, it's been at least like 8 months. Because once we got the space and lease signed, we immediately got the graphics up so people could see it. But it's taken some time to like really build, like, even though this is in such a heavily trafficked area, for people to really know like what it is, where it is, who we are, and like what we're building. It's just funny.
Whenever we're quoting out on the site selection side, I'll take a look at the client's pro forma, and we'll be looking at maybe a unit like this, really high triple net retail. And I look at the updated pro forma and their marketing line, the budget dropped by over half. And I'm like, what happened? They're like, well, that's what we're paying for. I'm not going to have to market. I'm like, bro. That's not how that works. No. Because it's so expensive, you still got to do both. The one is just because you're here, it does not fuel the dreams.
No.
Right? Like, just because you build it, they ain't coming. You still got to have the megaphone.
I mean, that's the one thing we've never cut on is marketing. And honestly, we spend more than even our budget that we're supposed to spend. Like,
what are you supposed to spend?
There's a minimum that you have to spend,
and then
right?
we're based off of like
a minimum.
It's a minimum.
Right.
It's a bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things where I mean, you have to
just
set
our ads, and that's it.
Yeah, you have to set yourself up for success. I mean, if you're putting that much time, effort, putting a lien on your house, you're pulling money out of your pocket. What's the extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000? Drop the money.
Yeah.
Be strategic about it. Don't just throw it up in the air and set it on fire, right? But like, know when to spend it, and when it's time to spend it heavy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the one thing that like neither him nor I, like we haven't cheaped out. We haven't thought twice about it. We're like, we're going to take this money and it's going to be spent well, and it's going to move the needle forward. We're not just going to be like, okay, maybe we put it here, maybe we do this. Like, it's like, no, we are going to take this $20,000. It's going to go here. It's going to move this. Like, we're going to see this return. So don't be scared. Like, scared money doesn't make money. Like, there's no way it does, right? But at the same time, like, just sporadically spending money, you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Or I don't like just doing it for the hell of it doesn't do it either, right? But I will say the one thing that we've never been scared to spend it, because we know we'll make it work.
Yeah, when you find that good marketing partner or whatever it is, it's like for every $1 I put in, I get 6. Like, put as many dollars into that as you can, because that eventually all good marketing plateaus and levels off. You got to kind of rework it, or the algo or the TikTok or the this changes or whatever. And you always have to get back to it. But the nice thing, again, you pay for it, you pay a lot for it, but this is always a mainstay, right? And there's like baseline, like right now, this is insanely visible. You guys decide to do something outside one day. Now you've 10x the visibility of what the fuck is going on over there. You guys have already seen you guys doing the partnerships with the local, you know, the tenant mix around here. So it's, it is, it's one of those things where like, is it worth it? If you can afford it, I say it is.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
don't deplete your entire.
Don't be balling on a budget.
And
don't
move your marketing budget to buy the space. Don't do that. But no, I mean, it definitely, like, it's paid for us like tenfold for sure. I mean, we're happy with both of our locations, both very different. I mean, even the feel of the studio in Lake Norman versus here is so different, but this is a very South End vibe studio. It's a very Lake Norman vibe studio. So not that necessarily we had that vision for it, but like the way they panned out, we're like, oh my gosh, this is like, it actually worked out perfectly. But yeah, I mean, and we didn't think too much about it. Like, we straight up saw the spot and we're like, we want it. And
so
we're like,
we were actually, this one, I mean, we were literally just sitting around one Saturday. We're like, we don't have anything to do. Let's go window shop, right? Had no intentions.
Our broker has sent us some spots. I just wanted to get an idea of this landscape in South End.
Weeks before, it had just been sitting in the inbox, right? I mean, I looked at it, but not too crazily. So when we hit a couple spots, they were okay. We saw this one, called the broker, found out there was about to have an LOI signed on it. We had to move, get all the documentation in, go ahead and get the numbers done. We didn't even have site approval
We
from
were in the middle of
JETSET.
pre-sales, or we were about to start. No, we hadn't even started.
No, hadn't even started.
Yeah.
So I mean, we had to move aggressively quickly, and by the skin of our teeth, we got it.
Yeah, we ended up signing
Right.
the lease the week, like we were literally putting the final touches on the Lake Norman studio before opening. We signed the lease in that studio. We're like, what are we doing?
Why take a break?
There was no break. There was no break. I think January of this year hit, and it was like really crazy to us because the January before, like we were both kind of losing our minds. We weren't working. We were just focusing on JETSET. We had just at that time committed, like, we're going to go all in. We're just going to focus on this. We're not going to do real estate. Like, so it works or it doesn't, right? Like so it was just a scary time, you know, like we knew it would work, but at the same time it's scary. Like there's no fogging of that. There'd be nights up of just like, what the fuck are we doing? Right. So then when this January hit and then we went down for the conference, we had just opened 2 studios. And so 365 days later, and then we were the top producers for all of JETSET. So it was cool. It was like one of those like full circle moments of like, holy shit, we did a lot this year.
We shot our shot and it went in.
Yeah, it was cool. But it was. I mean, you're right. I say that term all the time, but we burned the boats.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was going to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, still dabble in real estate, make sure we had money coming in. And I mean, we threw a pile of gasoline on it in a couple matches and we rolled.
Yeah.
I mean, it was out. Sink or swim.
Yep. I agree.
Right. Which is honestly, I mean, thank God we did it. It's the only way to do it.
I agree.
Right.
100%.
I mean, if you're not 100% in where you're putting your money.
But it's also so much money you're investing. You know, I think maybe it's different if you're just dabbling into starting something smaller and then building it. But to go to a brick and mortar in a brand new space with a brand new brand, brand new concept, and be like, I'm just going to like try it out.
And it's not a digital, it's not e-com, it's in person, it's peer personalities, selling personalities. Yes. I mean, you have to be.
Yeah.
We got a 10-year lease with a guarantee, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, we better be bringing in money or we're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
What is, and we'll close out after this, but talk to me about what is next. So you had a big rush of the 2 studios kind of on overlapping of each other in their infancy stages. Third, like talk to me, what's going on next?
We're just taking over North America.
Just that's it. Just slow and steady.
Casual, right?
Being here on the East Coast, just taking over.
No, so we have 2 territories committed to in Knoxville. We just signed an LOI on a studio there, west suburbs of Knoxville. So we're excited. Similar demographic to kind of like a Lake Norman vibe. So kind of bouncing back to that. We have another territory here in Charlotte.
Are you familiar with Knoxville?
Yeah. So I have very
familiar.
I have family there. And so we've actually partnered with them for operational side.
Nice.
So we're not like, of course we're going to be in Knoxville.
Sure.
But we're going to be opening.
You'll still be a remote. Yeah.
Correct. We're about to sign for some more territories here. So we'll end up opening, as of now, I'll say there won't be more coming, but as of now, 5 studios in Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
So total we'll be committed to 7 here soon. We're working on,
every 3 months we keep signing for more studios. So, talk to us in a year. We'll want 20.
Yeah.
One thing that's, and I'll end on this because it just brings up another good point. When you are doing these and are you guys using SBA loans, self-funded?
Little bit of both.
So the first one was an SBA. The second one, we ended up doing more of a self-funding leveraging play because the government shutdown happened. Right. So all of a sudden we're in the middle of SBA and we didn't know when everything was going to reopen. We had to open because I already told my customers we're opening in January.
Not even that. So we had to get the clock rolling with the contractors.
Well, there were so many different things, right? So it was one of those things where leveraged some of the assets. Did this one. But we'll be continuing with the SBA and a couple other creative solutions in the future.
And that's why I explain to people the thing about opening is up and like I'm going to use SBA loans. Like there's a certain point in which your debt service just gets so high you can't keep going back to the well. Right. You will have to get good at I got to go pitch some friends, family, investors, other individuals because I'm going to need OPM to get some of these other studios open because you just can't SBA these loans, these studios forever.
It's up to $5 million in total is the SBA.
Yeah.
But we won't need SBA for
the next
7.
No, there's a new creative financing option actually through JETSET. They've been like vetted by the specific financing company that allows, again, more back-end stuff, but they have a lot more creative financing solutions specifically for multi-unit franchise owners, for high-performing franchise owners, which actually works.
Yeah, we've also had offers for private capital.
Sure,
So it's just one of those things of what do we do and when is the biggest game.
Yeah. And I mean, for us, like, we're like, all right, keep doing what we're doing, keep growing properly and right. And then we'll be able to have the money to be able to put into these, the amount that we would need.
Sure.
And for us, we're like, let's just secure the territories we want. We'll get the funding. We're not really worried about that. And obviously there's an approval process for us to even be able to secure territories. So you have to have
there's always a little bit of worry about that one, but
yeah, I know. I mean, we go into it, we're like,
burn the boats.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Every single time we're like, oh my God.
Are we doing this?
Are we doing this? Like, are we sure?
Sure.
Are we fine? Like, is this fine? Are we fine?
Yeah. Stare at the ceiling all night.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we start having those conversations, we can't sleep. We're anxious. We're like going back and forth between the couch and the bed. It's like, all right, here we go again.
I'll be on my
your
computer.
neighbors to pet their dogs to calm me down.
Literally.
Dude, the amount we were having coffee, we're just bullshitting next door at the apartment complex. It was no less than 3 people with dogs that come by. They just babysit people's dogs for the shits and gigs.
It's not people's, okay? Don't hit us up for anything.
Not anybody.
We are dog
Don't
sitters.
do
not DM us.
I love your dog, but not that much.
Someone's going to come to Jet Set with a dog. Like, I heard this is the free babysitting service. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, we do. We have a puppy that we watch on weeknights. Wow.
You knew every dog there. I was like, this is the best. Like, it's like all the fun of like getting to play this dog. Like, go to your owner. That's fun. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. So there is one we want to steal though.
Nice.
Like we actually want that dog.
I really do.
Yeah.
Guys, this was awesome. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
You guys were fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is great.
No, thanks
I'm
for
excited
having
for you
us.
guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.